Good morning, Illini. Welcome back. I'm Matt Schrock, your host here for another Healthy Illini podcast, and we are firing right through the semester. It is now after Thanksgiving, and we are looking towards finals, but we also want to look towards some future semesters and future plans and things like that. So I have some guests today talking to us about study abroad, and I'm excited to get into this topic. Today I'm joined by two guests who have experience with study abroad. First up is Stacy Billman. She's the Associate Director with Illinois Abroad and Global Exchange. Stacy, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we're also joined by a student today. Mia Hacket is a senior with in LAS, but she studied abroad last semester, spring 2022, and she was in Pavia, Italy. Mia, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So one of the best things about being on this campus and being part of a large university and a large university community is the vast, diverse opportunities that are presented to all of our student body. And one of those opportunities is the chance to study abroad at some point in your college career. Now, some students are very familiar. They may have had a sibling or even a parent or a close friend who has studied abroad, and so they have a pretty good idea about what that means. But we have a lot of students who do not have that background, who don't have that experience, don't have that knowledge. And so they really don't know what that means when they hear study abroad. It's a big term, and they don't have a clue what that involves. So let's start right there with just what does study abroad mean? What study abroad mean? And if a student wanted to know more about it, where would they even start to get information?
Sure, yeah, you're right. It's two words, but it's a big word together, right? So I think there's, perceived meaning to study abroad and then the actual meaning. And just to put it as simply as possible, that it's just the opportunity to pursue your academic studies in a foreign environment. And the great thing about study abroad at Illinois is that we have so many great options for study abroad. There's not just one singular option. There's a diverse amount of options, different durations, different types of credit, different cost levels. For what I would like the message to be today is that it is for all students. I would love for all students to at least consider it.
So you said not just that there's different opportunities in like where to go and cost levels, but there's opportunities in duration.
Yes.
And in how it fits into what you're studying. So just a real quick brief overview, like what's the shortest, what's the longest? I mean, what are you talking about when you're talking about study abroad?
Yeah, shortest would be anywhere from probably 7 to 10 days. And those are typically what we call faculty-led programs. They're short-term programs. They're a great introduction to study abroad. They typically have a second 8-week course component prior to the travel abroad. Then we go to probably summer being the next longer duration, so varying levels, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe the entire summer abroad, and then semester options like Mia did, and then academic year long. So all different options for duration.
So Mia, you did do a full semester, correct?
Yes. And for me, it was pretty easy to decide to do a full semester because for one of my majors, global studies, studying abroad for a full semester is required. So that kind of made my decision for me, but I wouldn't regret it. And almost I wish I could have done a full year. But if you're not sure how to get started, I would definitely recommend going to just the study abroad website, poking around, kind of looking at different programs in places that interest you. And then I think it's also really important to talk to kids who have studied abroad so you can really learn about their experiences firsthand. Obviously, talk to your professors, talk to your advisors, and these people want you to study abroad and have this experience. So don't be intimidated by talking to someone about it.
So that does bring me to my next question was going to be, where do you start? Because I know we all say, hey, talk to somebody, but on a campus with 70,000 students, somebody is also a daunting term because there's a lot of people around. So if somebody wants to know more information, do they start with your office, Stacy? Do they start with a professor? Where would you recommend that a student who has really no base knowledge but wants to know more, where should they begin?
I think one of two main starting points would be the Campus Education Abroad website or the student's home college. Each of the colleges either has their own study abroad office that they can go and talk to, or our office supports the colleges that don't have the infrastructure for study abroad. So regardless of the college, they will have somebody that they can talk to about study abroad. And from the website, our Ed Abroad website, there's a Find Your Study Abroad office at the very top of that page, so they can easily find who they need to talk to.
Is there a best time frame to start that conversation in like if you're looking at a spring semester or a fall semester, is there best time to start looking at it?
It's a really great question. I think the earlier the better. I think as sometimes students as freshmen think it's too early, it's not. It's depending on what kind of a program you're going to do and how you're mapping out your 8 semesters with your academic advisor. You could discover that you need to take specific courses in your target term for study abroad. And that's just so helpful to have advanced planning for, just to make sure that the program that you've chosen that you think is a good fit for you has the courses that you need to take. It really just depends on the student and the flexibility of your overall time and the courses that you need.
How would a student, in talking, like, let me say it again. How would a student approach trying to figure out where to go? Because obviously there's lots of places, there's lots of programs, there's lots of options.
Yeah.
How do you start to narrow that down? Is that a conversation with the college gives you best fit kind of ideas, or is it something based on language proficiency that's really important where you go? I mean, what are the factors that play into where you decide to go?
Yeah, I think that's also a really great question. I really feel that in my initial advising appointments with students, I tend to really ask them to reflect on, first, why have they even thought about studying abroad? Like, what do they hope to gain? What are their goals? I think it's really helpful to have that foundation to start from in order to have a conversation with somebody else who then is knowledgeable about the options out there and can kind of guide you in the right direction. But I don't know, Mia, it might be helpful to talk about the experience that you had in picking your program too.
Yeah, so again, for me, my second major is Italian, so the language proficiency really influenced my decision as well. And being in Pavia, I was able to take some classes in Italian, and Pavia is a smaller town, so less people spoke English, so whenever I went out, I was making sure to use my Italian and really become more immersed in the language and the culture. I know a lot of people do language minors, so that's definitely a really easy way to get credit for those minors. But also I would say that a language barrier should not be like a driving force, because most, if not all of U of I's programs offer classes in English abroad. So don't let that scare you either. But yeah, just think about, as Stacy was saying, kind of the experience you want, what you hope to get out of it, which culture you want to be exposed to and live in, whether that's for 7 to 10 days to a whole academic year.
Yeah.
What ended up leading you to Pavia? What was the thing that pulled you to that spot? 'Cause I'm assuming you had multiple options in Italy.
Yes.
And so what drew you to that particular position?
I really think it's because I'm lucky that I've been to Italy a couple times before, just for a couple different reasons. But I knew that I didn't want to be in a big touristy city. I wanted to really live there and feel like I was a part of a local community. Pavia is kind of the equivalent of a college town that we have here. So I just felt really safe whenever I was walking, and I could walk by myself, and I like that my classes were kind of on the smaller side. It's a very international university, so it was easy to make friends from all over Europe and South America, and just all over the world. So kind of just knowing the experience you want, and if you want a lot more nightlife or things to do, then like a bigger city might be a better option for you. But if you want to just be quote unquote a local, then a smaller city or town might be a better fit for you as well.
So it sounds like not only are you weighing the benefits, which I want to talk about in a moment, the academic benefits and things like that, but it's okay to weigh who you are. That you can find something that fits your personality.
Yes.
If you're outgoing, you want a bustling city, that's fine. If you want something smaller, quieter, if you want to experience something familiar, if you want to experience something totally unfamiliar, the understanding what your goal is makes a big part of it, and it helps pare down. Because that helps you take this massive list of places, but you're like, okay, I want a smaller place. Well, that cuts it down to here. Or I have somewhere I've been before, that cuts it down to here. And that helps out with that.
Exactly. And so obviously like who you are and like knowing what's going to make you most comfortable or uncomfortable to get out of your comfort zone. But also I really want to stress this language proficiency part. If you are trying to become fluent in a foreign language, going to a smaller town or city is really going to help you. If you're in a big city where almost everybody speaks English, it's human nature, right? We want to do what's easier. It's so much easier for us to speak our native language, and if for you that's English, you're probably not going to get that aspect of studying abroad out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody who's listening, is like, well, I don't have a minor and whatever. If you have even if you have a small understanding of a language and you get into it, you get caught up pretty quick. We have friends live in Guatemala. Before I had kids, we would travel there a number of times, and I got really to the point that I could get around Antigua pretty easily. I don't speak Spanish really very well, but I can kind of read it and give context clues and get there. And it was really quick that I can assimilate to this. I can't anymore because it's been years since I've been there, and I think about it, like, man, I'm not in any shape to do that. But if you're listening and you're like, I'm not taking a minor, if you have some bit of any experience with it, you pick it up pretty quick. And these programs are familiar with study abroad students, so they will help you. The university here will help put you in a place to succeed in those things. Jumping back into you talked about what do you want to get out of the program. As someone if someone's looking to go to a study abroad program, they're trying to figure out what they want to get out of it. What are the benefits they're looking for? What are the things that they're weighing as, this is worthwhile because I'm going to do this in another country?
Yeah, so I think there's 3 really broad categories that we talk about when we talk about the benefits, and it's really the academic, the professional, and the personal. That's a lot, right? It's a lot to unpack that in and of itself, but you can earn credit towards your degree, and I think that really means a lot to some students of just taking like unique classes in a variety of disciplines from different cultural perspectives.
And I mean, that's the academic side of it.
Yes.
The professional, I mean, it looks good. You on any kind of resume that you have an experience that you can show that you can succeed in an unknown environment or a new environment. You can adapt to change, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and just to having this global network just opens you up to all these possibilities and opportunities. Within the class, even from the academic perspective, you still get that professional experience of if your class has experiential learning opportunities, whether that's academic research or an internship. That's just great professional benefits for students, like opening them up to being able to work with, different people, cross cultures. I think prospective employers are really looking for those kinds of skills. So
the focus of this podcast of Healthy Illini in general is health and wellness, and that's a very personal thing. So I really want to drill down a little bit into the personal benefits, because we talk the academic, we can talk the professional, and they're all valid and important and good. Yeah. But you might not think about the personal side of it. You might not think about how this affects your mental wellness, your physical wellness, even.
Sure.
What are the benefits in a personal perspective to studying abroad?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to?
I would say that you definitely learn a lot about yourself. It's kind of hard not to when you go by yourself to a foreign country. And I know for me personally, and I think a lot of students who study abroad feel the same way, that they become a lot more independent when they study abroad. I mean, you're taking a plane, you're living somewhere new, you're navigating a new city, you might be doing international travel on the weekends, or and just kind of having to be self-reliant. I'm the youngest in a family of 4, so definitely used to having a lot of support and having people do things with me. So just really saying oh no, I can do this because I have to do this by myself. Mm-hmm. And also just making friends with people from different cultures and around the world is a really cool, unique experience. And I think that's something I wish we could do more. I had a couple group projects while I was abroad, and then some of these people became my best friends that I still talk to and call at least once every couple weeks since I've been back. And I think that that's not really something that you can recreate anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you said you learn a lot about yourself. It's kind of similar to, I tell a lot of my daughter's a senior in high school, and I tell all the seniors, I'm like, if you get a chance, live in a dorm for a semester or a year, because you learn a lot about yourself when you're thrust into a situation with people you don't know and those types of things. And traveling abroad be the same idea, that you're in an unfamiliar situation. You learn the things you can do, the things you don't like. This is what I like about this living situation. This is what I don't like about this living situation, or classes or whatever. And you can take that learning experience and grow in what comes next when you're looking for a job, a career, a family, where you want to live after college, that kind of thing. You can take all these these aspects and say, I can move across the country because I lived over here and did this, but I don't want to do this. I want to be in this kind of area, or I don't want to have this type of living situation, that sort of thing. And you can learn all that. Yep. And that is all plays a part into your health and well-being, because that's all part of self-care and things like that.
Yep.
So we've talked a lot about the logistics of how you get started. Again, we'll have all these resources, the website, and all the ways to contact people in our bio. We'll have that for you. If you're curious about more, you want to follow up, we will have that there to be a support for you. But we talked about the logistics and preparing and researching for traveling internationally. But now let's say a student's made their decision and they know their destination, they know when they're going, they know how long they're going to be there. Mia, especially, what are some tips for preparing for the trip? And then what are some things to be aware of when you're there? Like, what are the things you wouldn't think of going into this?
Okay. Really great question. I can start with definitely how to prepare a little bit. I am very type A, like I really like to plan. So at least in terms of packing, I made a really detailed spreadsheet, multiple tabs. And I just kind of itemized everything, like by types of clothes, by like jewelry, purses, everything, just so I knew what I was bringing. And this really helped me pack efficiently, because I knew that there was going to be stuff that I was probably going to buy abroad as well. And then just kind of seeing everything I had. And then it also was helpful for returning back to the US too, because I went through my spreadsheet and I was like, oh, did I repack everything that I initially brought? And then something else that I think is really helpful is to kind of plan out your finances and almost like create a budget for yourself. So in the same spreadsheet, I had a whole tab for finances, and I broke down obviously the cost of tuition and the flight. And then I kind of put in a budget of how much I was willing to spend on trips and food and anything else that just might have come up. And that definitely kept me on track.
Stacy, are there any resources for students, like especially preparing for cultural differences, or preparing for what you need, like from medical history kind of thing to go in another country? Is there anything that students need to be aware of on this side before they take off?
Yeah, there's a whole host of resources, I would say, but the one thing that does sort of bring it all together in the pre-departure process is a study abroad orientation course that the College of LAS actually manages, and it sort of brings all the technical aspects of preparing to study abroad alongside that sort of cultural preparation piece of it, and really like trying to help students understand the reality of what they're about to experience in this, as we've talked about, this place where they're going to be completely new, right? So our website, the Ed Abroad website, has resources by country, like I just talked about, breaking down the technical and the cultural aspects. We have identity and inclusion resources so that you can really think about who you are and how study abroad might impact that. So variety of resources. And we just hope that you would utilize the Ed Abroad website.
Oh, and one of the benefits of the time we live in now is that we are so globally connected through internet, through communications, phones, laptops, tablets, whatever you want to say. Because there's an opportunity that if you are preparing, that you can contact the place you're going and get information. You can, when you're there, you have ways to contact the school here. I mean, when 30 years ago when I was looking at college, I left home and didn't have a cell phone, that kind of thing. You didn't talk to your friends at all because you didn't know Facebook. This was before MySpace. Let's just put it that way. That'll tell you something right there.
I remember MySpace.
MySpace was awesome. But now we have an opportunity that you can connect, and Mia, like you said, you made friends that you're still connected with.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, living in this global technological age, it's really an opportunity to use those types of things to your benefit when you're studying abroad, to support yourself, to prepare yourself, and to enrich yourself in a lot of ways. Mia, I'm going to put you on the spot real quick.
Okay.
Well, first, did you travel with other UIUC students? I wanted to ask you that. Or did you go solo?
There were other UIUC students in my program. It was a really small program, but I really wanted to focus on getting to know other students at the university, international students and other Italian students to practice the language proficiency. So going with UIUC students can be a great thing. It can be familiar. It can definitely make the process seem a lot less scary. But I would also really encourage people to branch out and get to know other people while you're there.
So, like I said, I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick. I just want to ask, what was one of your favorite memories in class studying abroad, and one of your favorite memories not academic from studying abroad?
Oh, this is so hard.
I know, because you have a whole semester of things you just roll through. I'm sure.
I need to look at my scrapbook. Probably favorite memory in class was I took an international law class while I was there, and we were taking graduate level courses just the way like the articulation works out. It made sense for us to take graduate level classes while we were there, and it's actually one of the hardest classes I've ever taken. It was really challenging, and we had a group project. And it was really stressful. Like, not saying this to scare anyone, but and I feel like I'm probably doing. But I remember being in class and we did the presentation, and the second it was over, I just like looked at all my group members, and they were from all over. They were from Britain and Madagascar and Italy, and just taking like a big like sigh of relief. And we went out to celebrate that night of to finish our project. So probably my favorite moment in class, and then a little bit out of class.
That's cool because you're developing that community.
Absolutely.
Of people. That's cool.
And I'm still really close to one of my group mates as well. And then in terms of out of class, I would say I took a day trip to Florence by myself. Just I had been spending so much time with people, and I think when you're abroad, there's so much pressure to be so social all the time. And I'm a really extroverted person, so I definitely felt like I had to do that. But I said, you know what, like I just kind of need a day for myself. I've never been to Florence. I want to go see something new. And I honestly had the best day of my life. Like I just wandered around and saw. I didn't have an itinerary for myself. I just wandered around the city, and I still think about it all the time.
That's cool.
And you know, that's the part of the study abroad that I hear stories about that all the time from students who have gone of in-class experiences working with a group project of people from different countries and being thrown together. And you know, you said you don't want to scare anybody, but let's be honest, we have stressful classes here and we have stressful group projects here. It's not that much different, but you get to experience something new with on the process. And so it's just adding that little wrinkle of excitement to it. But a lot of students talk about, you know, the chance to see something different, to experience things. I've been blessed in my life to be able to travel internationally, and I remember my favorite things were just seeing mountains. I live in Illinois. We don't have mountains. We have a hill in my hometown. It was built because we dug a ditch. But I've seen mountains. I've seen volcanoes. I've seen deserts and oceans and things like that. And it's just getting that opportunity to go somewhere and see something just slightly different that you may not ever see again, may never have seen before. And it really is an enriching experience. And it plays a big part into your mental and physical well-being. It really does. So last thing, if say again the resources, Stacy, if you would, the website that students want to know more or how they would reach out to your office.
Yeah, so it would be studyabroad.illinois.edu is the campus education abroad website. Like I said, on that website at the very top, we've got major buttons for the program search and the Find Your Study Abroad office. So students can go to that, find their college, and know who they need to talk to about study abroad and get the process started. And I would like to say, like, we're very excited to get to talk to students. We're not here to force you into making this decision. It's a big opportunity to consider, and we just want to have the chance to talk you through some of the things, because I think there's misconceptions and there's myths out there about study abroad that we'd like the opportunity to be able to break down before students sort of self-select themselves out of it.
You're adding to our pantheon of guests who we're just here to help students.
Yes.
We're passionate about students. We're passionate about what we do in our area with students, and we're passionate about other people's areas. Like I'm a full proponent of study abroad. I have nothing to do with it whatsoever.
I love that.
But I loved that, you know, we have the opportunity. I'm trying to tell people, you know, my youngest brother did an internship in Africa as an engineer from UIUC, and it was one of the best experiences he has. And so I'm very much on board, and that's who we are on this campus, and that's who you are. So if you're listening, reach out. We want to help.
Yes, please.
We're not here to force anybody. We're not here to be heavy-handed on anything. We just want to support and come alongside. The other thing is, if you know somebody who's studied abroad, talk to them. I know Mia said in your prep, you're like, hey, talk to me if you need to. You know, if you see Mia out and about and you want to ask her about her time in Italy, I'm sure she'll be happy to share with you. But that's what the experience I found from most students that have been abroad. They're happy to talk about their experiences, what they liked, what they didn't like, both sides of it, and just being very honest about the experience they had.
Yeah, we have a really robust study abroad community of faculty, staff, and students. if you're talking to me and I'm sharing my experience, I also have other people that I know that students could talk to that have a different perspective. I have one perspective, right? But I was just thinking of, as you were talking, I was thinking of my friend who I used to work with in the study abroad office, did Minnesota studies in international development in Kenya, then did research for her master's in Tanzania, has worked in Tanzania for the last 4 years, just recently for the International Achievement Awards at Illinois, got the Young Humanitarian Award. And so it's just like that, those kinds of stories, right,
Yep.
that students can sort of listen to and hear and be inspired about having their own experience that's unique to who they are. So,
And that is right along lines with what why we do Healthy Illini,
Yeah.
is the individual experience and individual path and learning along that path.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you both being here today. I really appreciate you both sharing in your perspective. And so thank you, Mia. Thank you, Stacy, for joining us today.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
As the semester rolls down, we're looking at finals, but a lot of students are looking towards future goals, future semesters, towards graduation, things like that. And studying abroad can be a huge part of that. It can give you an opportunity to learn a lot about yourself, to gain some credit in an unusual situation, to have memories and experiences that are unique to you and that you'll tell stories about for a lifetime. And so if you have questions, if you want to know more, reach out to the Study Abroad office, the Illinois Abroad and Global Exchange. Check out the websites in our bio. Reach out to us at Healthy Illini. Contact us here. We'd be happy to put you in contact with the people that will help you, whether it's in your college or in any other office here on campus. But we just want to give you an opportunity, put you in a place where you can make a decision to see what might be the right fit for you. But thank you for joining us today. You are on a personal journey no matter where you are in it. You are important and you matter. Your health and wellness are important and matter, and we're here to keep you well to excel. So go have a great week, Illini. Let us know how you're doing, and we'll catch you next time on Healthy Illini.